Welcome. I'm Jessica Tietjen, and this is the Evolving to Exceptional podcast, where we talk about reaching peak performance in our workplaces, homes, and communities so that we can live our best life possible, an exceptional life. Welcome back to the Evolving to Exceptional podcast. I'm Jessica Tietjen, and this week I'm going to share with you a topic that is top of mind for me and is incredibly important in a world that is constantly changing and fairly chaotic at the present. Given the changing world and the challenges within it, it's never been more important that we understand our values. It's important to ensure that everyone, regardless of your personal perspectives, is extremely clear. I've been continuing to try to speak and write from a place of wisdom and intellectual curiosity, to pose ideas and offer insights for others to consider. Ideas that might make the reader think differently, even if they ultimately disagree with me. Typically, this is best done by staying centrist and not pursuing politically polarizing points of view. However, in a few short days, I've seen so many alarming and disconcerting things I fear remaining silent only serves to perpetuate the problem. Furthermore, my values demand that I write and act and live in a way that aligns with them, which means I must continue to write in spite of the potential risks it may bring. Those who know me know that I am guided by a desire to always be expanding and improving myself and my beliefs, committed to living in accordance with my values and a desire to do good in the world, determined to remain authentic, respectful, and conscious no matter the chaos, ready and willing to enthusiastically engage in meaningful dialogue and discussion. In fact, I welcome discussion and debate on any topic. I've found in my experience when we respectfully debate a topic, we often discover new solutions and gain greater perspective. When we debate correctly, it's not an argument with accusations, blame, and shame. Instead, it's a conscious, respectful, and intellectual discussion. As a result, regardless of your beliefs, I hope you will stick with me here and hear me out on why it's essential we confirm, clarify, and make our values more visible, no matter what your political party. You probably already know what alarming and disconcerting things I am referring to, and I can't possibly list everything of concern here, although I'll likely write on them at some point. But if you're unaware, I feel an obligation to at least mention a few of the examples of what has alarmed me. Violent criminals being pardoned, released, and cleared entirely such that they can purchase weapons and publicly stating they plan to do so immediately. Eliminating all DE&I positions, practices, and anti-discrimination policies from the federal government that have been in place since 1965. Viciously attacking and slandering clergy who are praying for the mercy of people. Google eliminating Biden from history of U.S. presidents, which I will note is now corrected. Instagram technical glitches causing the term Democrat to be unreachable. Flagging phrases like Free Palestine on social media as hate speech. Eliminating birthright citizenship, not to mention the most bizarre, renaming the Gulf of Mexico. Which brings me back to, what are values? Values are deeply held beliefs or principles that guide a person or organization's behavior, decisions, and interactions. They serve as a moral compass influencing what individuals or groups consider important, right, or worthwhile. Values are not the same as desires. This distinction is important. Desires are what we want or feel pulled towards. Everyone has desires. Desires are the innate or cultivated longings, wants, or aspirations that drive human behavior and decision-making. Everyone has desires that are good or healthy and bad or unhealthy, but just because we experience desire doesn't mean we have to move toward it. We need our values to deter our destructive desires. Values serve as the guide rails to prevent us from acting on desires that we intellectually or intuitively know are harmful or unhealthy. Without values, we would constantly be driven by our desires. Our values help to guide our decisions to ensure we are driven with wisdom rather than want. Just because we want something doesn't mean it's the right thing for us or even good for us. I might desire to eat dessert every day or for every meal, but that doesn't mean it's good for me to do so. How do desires and values form? Both our values and desires get shaped unconsciously by our experiences and environments. As we live our lives, our parents, religions, and communities all influence them. Every interaction and life experience helps shape what we want or pursue and whether we act upon those desires. As a result, we develop response patterns that get programmed and run unconsciously. For example, we might develop a desire for high achievement. As children, we might have been regularly praised for achieving good grades or winning awards. These experiences felt good, causing us to associate achievement with feeling good. Without values, our need for achievement might cause us to cheat, lie, or deceive in order to achieve. Our values guide how far we are willing to go towards our desire for achievement. Our values determine where we will draw the line and decide achievement isn't worth it. Let's look at another example. As children, maybe we had very little money and struggled significantly to survive. The pain and struggle we endured caused us to associate lack of money with suffering. We may then develop a desire for money or financial success. Without values, our desire for money might lead us to financial fraud, stealing, or prioritize money over all of our relationships. Our values guide how far we will go towards our desire for money. Our values determine where we will draw the line and decide a particular action is unwise. But we are not solely controlled by our desires. We get to consciously consider and choose our values. As we grow up, learn, and become more self-aware, we can become more intentional about our values. We can consciously consider and select the values that are most important to us and that we will use to guide our actions and decisions. Of course, it's also possible for people to consciously choose values that will harm themselves or others. An individual might decide they value money over abiding by the laws or harming other humans. A person might choose achievement over appropriately caring for and nurturing their relationships with their spouse or children. A person might even choose and often do their own ego and how they want to be perceived over the impact of their actions on others. Likewise, we might also choose values that guide our decisions in a way that create positive outcomes for people. Values that support our true well-being needs and support our lives as conscious and wise human beings, rather than egotistical and selfish humans. Why is this important? Values are the guardrails that prevent desires from deciding our actions despite their potential for destruction or harm. Without values, we will make decisions and choices that will inevitably cause harm to ourselves or others. Furthermore, if we fail to take the time to identify and articulate our values, then it is impossible to live by them. Ignorance is often a primary contributor to the failure to act in the face of evil, immoral, or illegal actions. A lack of conscious awareness and selection of our values can lead us to make unwise choices we likely one day regret. A troubling history and really present. Many have pondered the decisions of those who either took part in or did nothing to prevent the loss of life during the Holocaust in Germany. I wonder what their values were and if they considered them in the decision to act or not. I wonder what might have been different if more humans had been aware of the actions and consciously considered their consequences beyond their own immediate survival. The failure to identify, articulate, and abide by one's values may be a significant contributing factor to inaction in the face of evil. Without our values, our human default position is survival and self-preservation. If taking action against or speaking out against puts myself or those I love at risk, my natural reaction is to stay silent and hidden. Look at those who did act and the courageousness it took to do so. They had to prioritize their value for human life and human rights over the potential they might be persecuted, prosecuted, or even eliminated. To act in the face of fear requires a strong moral compass to guide us and provide us with the courage to do so. After writing the above, after sharing this article with my business partner, she courageously questioned and challenged me to take what I just shared a step further. And she was right to do so. My perspective is limited by my own experiences, and her experience as a Bosnian refugee to this country brings a highly valuable and relevant perspective to this topic. She brought to my attention the prevalence of pointing out the Holocaust as an example. whilst not using other examples of equally horrendous behavior towards those of different ethnicities, including the past and present-day actions in Palestine, Israel, and Gaza, not to mention Bosnia, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, Cambodia, Darfur, and many others around the world. While some of these examples are in the more distant past, there are atrocities just as severe still happening today, whether we choose to be aware of and acknowledge them or not. Humans are capable of acting in ways that are incredibly violent, vicious, and vindictive. We have a long history of allowing ourselves to behave badly only to look with regret on our actions in the rearview mirror. How does this relate to the present? The actions and behaviors of those who lack the values necessary to make wise decisions create chaos, corruption, confusion, and have serious consequences for all of humanity. What exactly constitutes a wise decision for humanity? The definition of wise is the possession and application of deep understanding, good judgment, and insight. Key aspects of being wise are sound judgment, empathy and understanding, experience-based insight, balance, humility, and ethical perspective. What are wise decisions for humanity? Choices are actions that prioritize the long-term well-being, flourishing, and sustainability of humanity as a whole. Wise decisions and actions are the result of the combination of compassionate, creative, and courageous human intelligence. When we act only through the lens of what is the most compassionate, creative, and courageous action I can take, we make wiser decisions. As I mentioned before, we are currently faced with a vast number of issues and challenges that require a degree of intelligence far beyond what most today utilize on a daily basis. Please note, I am saying that most humans possess tremendous intelligence capacity, but fail to utilize it consistently or effectively. Why is this the case? It's easier to rely on others rather than researching and understanding a topic thoroughly to make my own wise choice. It's easier to adopt that of someone else entirely. We're reliant on readily having access to information, and when information is censored, controlled, or limited in its accessibility, we then suddenly become less equipped to deal with complex topics. We've not learned how to make wise decisions based upon our full intelligences. We learn a lot about how to think, but very little about the rest of the human body and its brains. As a result, many may make decisions without taking into consideration their heart intelligence, our values, and the impact of their actions. Why do you need to identify and make your values visible? As we navigate this world, we must be prepared to measure our choices against the guardrails of our values. We must utilize them to ensure we don't lose our way on this stretch of our journey through life. If we don't clearly name our values, it's far easier to ignore them when they are being breached. Rather than bury our heads in the sand and hope the storm passes, I urge everyone to take a little time to identify, clarify, and articulate your values. What is most important to you? Not what do you want, but what do you truly value? But just identifying your values does not go far enough. Many will speak about their values whilst their actions and behaviors are in contradiction to them. As the granddaughter of a pastor, I am particularly sensitive to those who spout scripture whilst their actions are in conflict with the teachings. We must pay close attention to our behaviors and actions, challenging ourselves to ensure they are aligned with the values we've identified. I can say I value my health, but if I am constantly stressed, never work out, and eat badly, then my actions prove otherwise. Likewise, I can say that I am a caring and compassionate human being. But when humans are suffering, if I fail to offer compassion, which is not simply sympathy and empathy, but empathy in action, then my actions prove that those are not my true values. I want to call upon you to spend some time in reflection. To spend some time in reflection and identifying the actions that you will take. Our values are associated with our heart and the neural network found in our heart intelligence. Our heart is what will guide us toward what is truly important and what we truly value. Take a moment and balance your nervous system with a couple minutes of balanced breathing. Take even breaths in and out, 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out. Once you get yourself into a place of balance, I want you to place your hand on your heart Close your eyes and ask yourself, what do I truly value and what is truly important to me? Notice what comes up. When the heart communicates, it does so with feelings, sensations, simple words, visuals, smells, sounds. The speed of your heartbeats are sensations in your chest. Pay attention to what it shows you and shares with you. Write down whatever came through to you in as much detail as you can. If you have a sense of what it means, capture that as well. Then compare this message against a list of values and see which jumps out at you the most. Which resonates or connects with the message of your heart. Those are your true heartfelt values. With this guidance, create a summary of your values and make them visible. Put them where you can see them as you make decisions about what to think, feel, or do in your life. Then, as you act, as you react, as you respond to the challenges of the world, to the challenges in your life, in your family, in your workplace, in your community, check your actions against your values. Are you acting? Are you behaving in a way that aligns with the values that you claim to hold dear, to the values of your heart? Run any of your actions and behaviors against this test to ensure that you are making the wisest decisions. In the absence of values, have you ever considered what the difference is between the 6 individuals running the biggest tech companies in the world that attended this week's inauguration and other leaders? Claiming that wealth is proportional to intelligence, capabilities, capacity, or competence is beyond faulty. Financial success is but one indicator of intellect and success. A person can be the wealthiest in the world and bankrupt in their relationships with others. These wealthiest of men have made clear their values through their actions. There are many others in the world that might have had the same or similar success, but were unwilling to do so because of their values. We must be careful not to correlate financial success with wisdom and intellect. We must be willing to recognize that for the sake of humans and humanity, we need all of us, collectively, accessing our inner wisdom and intelligence and using it to guide our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. Using it to guide how we solve problems, how we make decisions, and how we interact and relate to one another. For it is only through these wise values, through the lens of a compassionate, creative, and courageous solution, that we can move this world and face the challenges in it in the wisest way possible. Thank you very much for your time and for your consideration. We sincerely appreciate all of our listeners. We appreciate you taking the time to check in, to learn a little bit from us, and to maybe consider your own thoughts, feelings, and actions in a new light. As always, I want to remind you to just always keep evolving, keep growing, keep rewiring those neural pathways so you can live your best life, an exceptional life. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll be back again next week.